And we are live. Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Sunday Night Live is back, and quite a lot to talk about over the sort of next hour. Talking a little about the URC and the fact that the SA sides have pitched up all of a sudden, which is good to see. And I think a lot of sort of knee-jerk reactions a little bit about the performance in the first couple of weeks on both sides. I think South Africans sort of losing their mind and being so worried that it was so out of touch and stuff like that, which I think was really the case. And a lot of Europeans saying that this was the standard that we were supposed to have and we're supposed to be impressed, and this has been rubbish. And people are saying that it must just take the money and go back. It's not adding any value to the competition. And as usual with these things, the truth probably lies somewhere in between. So it has been a much better weekend for South African sides. Although on the injury front, two major injuries that Springboks need to potentially worry about. And a horror year for RK Snyman continues after he walked off the field today. Didn't actually see it, but limped off the game against Scarlet. So not a good day for South Africans for Springbok chances. But in terms of the URC this weekend, it's been a much better weekend, and I think that hopefully this we'll be able to kick on when it comes to the URC later on this tournament. But what I want to talk a little bit about is the home game situation, or rather the lack thereof home game situation, which has really frustrated me. And I want to know what people sort of have to say about that, because I don't know. The comments that we had in the video that I put out today were all pretty sort of on the same page, and that we're very frustrated at the whole sort of attitude towards, and the fact that I asked the question, and this is the title of the video: Are the South African sides being disrespected with the fact that they will not have home games until 2022, which I think is a load of nonsense and very difficult to justify why. But also an update on the Rugby situation, a very interesting update as well. In terms of probably continuing to go after World Rugby in many ways. So I'm very interested to see how that whole thing plays out. That's pretty much what we're going to be talking about over the next sort of hour, depending on how we go and stuff like that. But let's get smashed the like button, jump in the comments, and we'll start with the URC. And before we sort of talk about the home ground advantage, stuff like that, let's talk about the rugby, I suppose. And I think it was a very good weekend for the SA teams, who on a different day could have actually been 4 out of 4. I think the good news is that not a single SA side was outplayed this weekend. Even the Lions, who lost due to a bit of a dubious decision when it comes to that first timing award to Glasgow, but even regardless, they did enough to win during the game. They played well enough to be able to get a result. They didn't get a result, which I didn't expect it to be that close. As a Lions fan, I was quite surprised, frustrated, because I think we actually could have won that game, and quite annoyed at the decisions by the coaching staff. But we were competitive, and that's the main thing. And I think that's what we want to see. Even if you're going to lose the games, you're allowed to lose games, but we've got to be competitive. And the Sharks to go and beat the Ospreys quite comfortably. The Bulls to make that second half comeback up against Cardiff last night. Stormers being held to a draw. It was exactly the kind of sort of weekend that we sort of was hoping to see, that our teams can adapt. And look, all the teams will get better. We know this, and I'm not just saying the South African teams. I'm saying all the teams across the competition will get better as sort of internationals return and stuff like that. But it's very important to see that even without them, that the South African sides can sort of front up and they can compete. So very, very happy with where the South African teams are, and I think that it's probably sort of putting a couple of people at ease. But I think at the end of the day, we had this conversation. I think about a week ago, we were talking about, are we out of our depth, or what the story is. And we kind of all agree that it will take time. So it's a stepping stone, and we're moving sort of in the right direction. But once again, it'll take time for us to sort of progress and sort of see where we can go. But yeah, so let's so I think, and just in summary, I think it's a couple of good performances. Still, obviously, a long way to go, but just good to see that our sides can go and beat some of the sides in and around the competition and get a couple of wins under your belt. Momentum's a funny little thing, and just being able to sort of have that belief is vitally important. But in terms of the comments, who have we got this evening? Good evening. Sean Faber is still here. Cyber, good evening. Hani Nelson, do you see Munster beat Scarlet 13-43? I didn't see the game. I saw the result. Mark Davis, the SA teams have improved this week. Sharks, Bulls, Stormers played well this weekend. Says Latita. Kevin says, I totally agree, Steve. Makes no sense going to Italy. Logic crazy. We'll talk about that a bit now. We have to remember SA teams weren't that good in Super Rugby, so to get these wins are massive. Coming SA teams didn't play against the Irish provinces. Welsh teams not as strong as Irish. Okay, well, what must we do? I mean, cool. So we had the first 2 weekends of poor performances. The Dragons beat Connacht. So if the Welsh teams aren't as strong as the Irish teams, then why are Dragons going to Connacht away and winning? I mean, I know Connacht has always sort of thought about it as the 4th best Irish team, but by definition, they just lost to a Welsh team away. So there goes that comment in itself. So obviously it's not beating Leinster and Munster, but it'll take time to see that. And I think that if we did see a Bulls versus Munster at Loftus, it could be a whole different game to what we saw when they took on Leinster at home. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, I know that we haven't beaten an Irish team yet, but we've only had 3 games against Irish teams so far. So we'll see some more this weekend. I'm not looking forward to them, to be honest, but because I think the Lions against Ulster is going to be a big ask. But anyway, it's time to fix up those small little stadiums like you're talking about. Yeah, you could see the hate Josh Adams has for us, especially when you're on the Lions series. Yeah, a bit of a strange chap, isn't it, old Josh Adams? Sharks and Bulls to qualify for Champions Cup. Well, at least one of them will. Because at this stage, if you finish first in your Shield, as they're calling them, you will qualify for the Champions Cup and then the top 8. So, yeah. In terms of injuries, though, Johan Goosen and RK Snyman, it looks like they're going to be long-term injuries. Johan Goosen, it looks very much like potentially ACL or ligaments. Unfortunately, Jake White was saying, and I saw that quote, he says, one of those with a knee injury, the more I saw it is, the more chance there is of ligament stuff remaining intact and rehab being quicker, said. But when it's off, you feel nothing. At the time when I asked him, Johan says he thinks it's not good news. He's had some ACL injuries. That's the one thing. If Johan Goosen says this is a big one, it's a big one because he's had them all, isn't he? And unfortunately, we were saying in the watch along, it was just about time, wasn't it? We've seen the book, we've read it, we've seen the movie. Johan Goosen picking up form, looking for that Springbok call up, looking to finally get back to Springbok colours. Bang, injured. I mean, he hardly played last season. Finally gets a decent run of games, and boom, that could be him for quite a few months with that knee injury. So I haven't no sort of official diagnosis or anything. But it's just not gone well. And then RK Snyman, I mean, you got to feel sorry for him, hasn't you? I mean, literally made his debut for Munster, and I think lasted about 3 minutes. And then he's had 2 cameos off the bench, and then today limped off after coming off the bench as well. So it's frustrating for him, and you kind of just sort of wonder what the issue is there. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things, when you start picking up these injuries, it's one of those things that you can just, you kind of carry with it all the time. And the more injuries you get, the less you kind of trust your body. And it takes a while for you to have that full sort of trusted ability. I mean, it's a stupid example, but, in the last sort of 18 months, I've had 2 knee surgeries, and it's taken a long time to be able to sort of run without taking every single step going, is it going to hurt? Is it going to be okay? Even like a couple of days ago, I was a little bit sore, and you start panicking and stuff like that. So it takes quite a while to get that confidence in your body. And the more injuries you have, the less confidence you will have in your body. Players who've never really been injured, they've got full confidence in their body because they've never known anything different. So it's a difficult one mentally. And we've also lost Frans Malherbe for the end of year series. Now, I'm interested to see what everybody thinks. What do we do with Frans Malherbe being out? Because a lot of people were saying, look, it's a huge blow. If you don't think it's a blow, then you just haven't been paying attention. But in terms of opportunity, it now means we can try and bring in another prop. And I would love to see Carly Sardi called up. Obviously, Thomas Latoya has already been part of the squad, but I would really like to see Carly Sardi go on that end of the year tour. He's come off the bench a couple of times now. In terms of a replacement for Frans Malherbe, I don't think it gets much better in terms of just that pure. He's a fridge. He is a fridge, as Carly Sardi. Absolutely massive, anchors a scrum. And in terms of expanding our prop depths, 24 years old, I would really like to see him get a call up. And I think that it would be a perfect opportunity to be able to sort of extend that squad. If you're looking at our props, Wilco Lowe is currently 27 years old, so he's in there for the long run. Thomas Latoya, I think, is about 28 or so. So he's there for the long run. So it'll be quite nice if with those players, because obviously your Thomas Latoya is 26 years old. So there you go. So he's fine. But if you're looking at your sort of Trevor and your Carnes, Vincent Koch, they're also a little bit older. Trevor, 32, and Vincent, I think, is also in his 30s. Vincent Koch, 31. So it'll be quite nice with if you've got your tight heads moving forward, once Vincent Koch and Trevor move on, which might only be after the next World Cup at this rate, but having Carly Sardi, Vincent Koch, and Thomas Latoy as your three, let's call it, not Vincent Koch, Wilco Lowe as your three tight heads there. That would be fantastic to see. So, yeah, I'd really like to see us I'd be interested to sort of see what we go with. And I prefer to see us call up another tight head and let Trevor continue playing loose head, to be honest, than to keep switching him all the time. But yeah. So where are we at? Is it because of this 40 pitch, says him Slayer? Oh, there we go. Out here and Coulson out for the whole year. Dragons lost to Leinster by a point, but realistically they were never going to win. But to be competitive is also impressive. Time for Archie to call it a day, play 3 games in 2 seasons. Yeah, it's not going well for him, eh? And you kind of don't know what. And then there was personal issues with the box squad. So there's just a lot of uncertainty around Archie's name. I'm not quite sure what the issues are there, but there does seem to be, and more than just injury issues, the fact that he's pulling out for personal reasons, and you sort of wonder, do you think it's a bit of mental fatigue with the burn, stuff like that? But yeah, no worries. Chris Smith was absolutely outstanding. I agree. He did have a very nice game. Stammer is going for a scan tomorrow. Ultra Charles says Chris might have to accept that he must go back to the farm. Look, I don't think he'd mind, Good evening, Scott. Hope you're well. Archie making it up doesn't want to come back to the box. I need 2 new knees too, man. I'm far too young to have had 2 flipping knee surgeries, and I'm not happy with it. But hey, back to sport next week. Well, this coming week, which will be quite exciting. So Lions will come to South Africa. I'm guessing break then, heading out again for month larger behind scenes a bit fishy. Yeah, we're going to talk about that now. I thought Bismarck was massive yesterday. Yeah, yesterday we saw the value in having Bismarck du Plessis. Thought it took a while in the first couple of games. We didn't really see it in that first game, for example. But yesterday, I thought he was very, very good. Call out Thomas the Toy. Well, he's technically already part of the squad. Let's be honest, I think Koch, Wilco, and Trevor are better than him. We're talking about Sardi. We're talking about Thomas the Toy. Is Tian Swanepoel coming back to the Lions this weekend? Not this weekend. Actually, I don't know what's happening with Tian Swanepoel. He's still part of the squad. Also, on scrum, Sardi will make that a monster Springbok scrum. So I'm assuming talk about Thomas Toy then. Oxen chair is so good. He is. But I'm talking about on the other end, though. Yes, look how Carly Sardi alone destroyed the Scotland scrum. The URC are not playing fair with the SA, says Scott. The SA Rugby are rowing over as a Glasgow Warrior sport. I want to see our clubs play in SA. Our pop depth in the country is massive. Excuse the pun, but it literally is, isn't it? When will OJ Noah at the Samoan and Ben Tupper join the Sharks camp? I'm not actually sure. I know that Baloney's there. I really want to know how Alton never gets injured. What is the secret? He's almost never missed a game for the Lions. I know he's got one of the best. He's just one of those. And it's interesting as well. For somebody who always gets targeted when he does play. How many late hits and stuff like that. But he just doesn't seem to get injured. Touch wood. It's been fantastic for the Lions. The fact that he's been so consistent. Maybe Chris Smith, block call up, settle down. 2 good games does not maketh the man. I'll be interested to sort of see if they don't take more stay and what they do go with a third fly half call up with no Johan Goosen, because where are you going to go? Chris Smith has had 2 reasonable games, but he's barely starting for the Bulls. So are you really going to call him up to the box? Butcher Chamberlain has 1 good game. People are talking about it. Jordan Hendricks has been pretty good, but he's now injured. You're not going to take some through. You're not going to take Money Leebox. I reckon when I stay, unfortunately, not for him, but just in terms of being able to add some depth, will probably be the 3rd choice fly half in the end of year tour. I thought you'd say Carly Size, Matthew. I'd say give a young gun like Yanni du Plessis a go. Yeah, settle down. I'd love to see Marcel Coetzee in the box squad. I was very impressed with Marcel Coetzee last night. He's been solid in the last sort of month, but we haven't quite seen that stand-up Marcel Coetzee. And we saw that last night. I thought he was tremendous. I thought Ruan Nokia was brilliant. Ruan Nokia is Franco Mostert, but like 7 years, in fact, even more. How old is Ruan Nokia compared to El Franco? So Ruan Nokia is 23. I think Franco Mostert's about 31. So yeah, literally I think that's pretty bang on with that 7 years, 23 and 30. Do I lie? Yeah, Ruan Nokia for me is literally a reimagined Franco Mostert. He's just got that engine. He makes all the tackles. He's very good in the line out. He's just so consistent. Albert Lowe was pretty good yesterday as well. Curtly Arendse is very electric. Good to see him getting some space out wide yesterday. And I'd like to see Cornel Hendricks back at inside centre. I don't think Harold Forster was bad. He made a very important tackle, but I just think that Cornel Hendricks get the ball to him so much more. If you want someone to get over the game line every single time, I don't think is much better in South Africa than Cornel Hendricks. And I'm talking about in South Africa. Obviously, you've got Damon Daly and DeAndre Estes and as South Africans. But in terms of inside centers that get you over the game line, I don't think many do better than Cornel Hendricks. Guess is Mornay still good enough? Keep him around till the next World Cup. He'd be like 40, mate. Like, really? Are we really going to take a 40-year-old to the next World Cup? Jacques Duplessis was no good. Arnaud Boerta was way better. Yeah, Arnaud Boerta does look good when he came on. He was also someone who's taken a bit of a while to settle into things, into life at the Bulls. But he made that very nice break last night. Decent set of skills on him as well. Which team does Dre play for? He plays for Bordeaux over in top 14. I just watched the Edinburgh Rugby versus DHR Stormers after I got in from Scotstown. I thought Stormers were going to win, but seeing another team, ASA team pushing our teams to the limit was good. It was a nice game. I think, draw is probably a fair result by the end of it. Edinburgh taking the result, I suppose, by kicking it, but I mean, they were in there in 22. But it could have gone either way, but I thought it was generally just a pretty good game. And some nice Stormers performances. Evan Lewis looks pretty comfortable. Who else is pretty good in that Stormers side? Warwick Holland is making Rugby look so easy, doesn't it? I thought it was another tremendous game from yesterday. He has to be back in the box squad when it gets announced, which I imagine it'll get announced in about the next week or two, because I think we're scheduled to go over to France in about either the week of the 18th or the week of the 25th. But I'd imagine it's the week of the 18th, which means if you're leaving next week, we might see a box squad announcement this week. We haven't had any official communication about that. Why doesn't France stay and go to Lions? I'll take him. I'll definitely take him. I think we need an inside center or a little bit of a utility center. I think he has to go to one of these unions, surely, unless they sort out where the Cheetahs are going. Both him and Roscoe Speckman, we've got to be playing at a decent union. I mean, those are two. You can't have players in the box squad not playing rugby. For Yun, who are the Lions playing next week? We're playing Ulster, which is not going to be an easy game at all. The fixtures for next week are as follows. Lions taking on Ulster at 8:30 Friday. At the same time, the Dragons taking on Stormers. Be a tough game there for the Stormers, I reckon. And then on Saturday, Edinburgh are taking on Bulls and Cardiff are taking on Sharks. And we don't have a single South African side in the top 10 yet. Lions sitting there in 11th. But another win for like the Sharks, for example, who have watched the game against Cardiff, and they'll probably reckon they can back themselves. I also think Bulls can probably take Edinburgh as well. But I think Dragons will probably beat Stormers, and I'd be very surprised if Lions are competitive against Ulster. For Yun, what for Box? No. Let's not be silly. Although I thought he did quite well yesterday at fly half. In many ways, I actually think I said in my preview, I said in many ways he'd probably suit fly half better, because I just don't think he's got the pace at full back. He gets rounded very easily, and even when he makes a break, he's got a reasonable step on him, but he just doesn't have the pace. Thomas Toy needs to run his tight head prop. Would love to see the Angry Warthog again, though. We're talking about Akka at hooker. I don't know what the issue is. There's a little bit of beef between him and Russia, I think. What was your view in the try that was awarded in the Lions game? I think we all know it wasn't a try, and how the referee didn't go and check was very, very, very frustrating. And it changes the game. Going down 7-0 after like first 5 minutes is very, very different to staying in the game. So I was frustrated at that. But at the same time, I thought the Lions in that first 20 minutes were absolutely nowhere and yet didn't concede a try. The scramble defense was very impressive, which had to be impressive because their defensive structure was absent. But they grew into the game with the Lions, and I think their pack is looking really, really good, which is very exciting. But we're off the red list. Why do we need to go to France now? I suppose you've already committed to having the training camp there, so why not? But the problem is we committed to a bunch of marketing and promotions, so I'm sure there's big money being paid for us to go over there and market the 2023 World Cup. Which personally, why must we flip and go and market the World Cup that was robbed? We were robbed of. The flipping 2023 World Cup should have been here. Could you imagine the content we could have done if it was here? It would have been phenomenal. Instead, you now got travel packages to go to France at 80,000 Rand. So if anyone's getting 80 grand just lying around, feel free to chuck it into a super chat and we'll go. But I don't think we're making it to the 2023 World Cup. If it was here, we would have operated. Madosh was good yesterday. He's fast. Yeah, he's bullets. I was saying, I reckon Madosh, in terms of like raw speed, Madosh, Kirkley, Orense, Raz Wakana, those kids are fast. Maybe we can give Willemse the last push at 10 end of yes tour since there's no other good options. They just don't seem to really back him at 10, do they? I mean, I know he did come on, but I think I'd like to see Damien Willemse start at 12. Not necessarily with the box, even if it's for the flipping Stormers, but I reckon that I've always wanted to see him at 12. Matthew Dix, I expect France to call it a day if the Cheetahs don't confirm international competition for the end of the year, or you'll join the Sharks on loan. Sharks don't need them. They've got centers. Come now. We need them. Do you enjoy the Munster versus Scarlets game? They're simply irresistible. Unfortunately, I missed it, so I'll catch up the highlights later. I was doing video editing and stuff like that. Also, a strong side. They have pushed most teams and also the Champions Cup. I enjoy the Sharks supporting the Bulls. Yeah, it was a cool moment there. The Sharks went off and watched the Bulls last night and were on the side of the pitch. It was cool to see. I thought most European teams have decent pitches. I think the 40 pitch at Cardiff got Husson injured, so Bulls and Sharks get the easy one this weekend. The Currie Cup isn't one in May. It looks like our sides start winning more. The log might look totally different halfway into the competition. We don't even know where the flipping Currie Cup is, do we? I think it's starting in January. Imagine how epic that would have been if we hosted the World Cup. I was so ready for it. So ready. Are we playing Ireland this year or no? No, we're not. We're playing Wales, Scotland, England. The Celtic nations. Playing Scotland. And yeah, I'm keen though for those. I'm keen to play Scotland. Scotland play a very nice, surprising brand of rugby. Wales are obviously very defensive nature, and then you got England, who, yeah, obviously there's quite a big rivalry there. Still a lot of I would say sour grapes in many ways from the World Cup a couple of years ago. But yeah, is Jordan Henderson really bad or not really? As a player, I don't think anyone would describe Jordan Hendricks as really bad. I think Jordan Hendricks looks like he's a potential future Bok number 10. Would you pick Billy LaRue again, or do you think Fasio Willemse should start for the Springboks? I think Halan should start for the Springboks. I think he's looking flipping brilliant. South Africa doesn't have a big enough middle class to fill up stadiums for a Rugby World Cup. That's why it's in France 2023. Only 5 million people pay tax in SA. Mate, we would fill the stadiums. There would be no issue there. Plus, think about the tourists. It's so cheap to come to South Africa that you wouldn't even need to worry about South Africans. We would fill our stadiums. I mean, every single Springbok. I don't think we'd struggle to fill stadiums. First of all, it's cheap to come here, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you've got the dollar, if you've got the euro, if you've got the pound, you can come here for next to nothing. So I don't think we'd have any issues with filling stadiums. My family would all go. Ireland have Japan, Argentina, New Zealand. Yeah, I'm keen to see that Ireland versus New Zealand game. So no more Currie Cup for the SA team for a while. I don't know how the Currie Cup's working. I haven't quite announced the new structure and timing and stuff like that. The Lions need more than just a central and fly off Stephen, but Lions do have a lot of potential. Can't wait for the SA and English rematch. The Lions need a hooker. Lions need a lock. And the Lions need a scrum off. And they need a fullback. And then I'll be pretty happy. I mean, fly half, I'd like to see a fly half, but that's because we've got 2 injuries. But I think those are the big sort of errors, especially flip and hooker. We couldn't flip and nail a line this weekend. It was ridiculous. Kevin says, look how well we host 1995 World Cup. And Ultimate Sharpshooter Records will be fine to host. Hey, Stevie, can you give insights into how press conferences work? Are they not a PC for every game, or they're always available? I quite enjoy watching them. Yeah, so it's quite frustrating. Sometimes I get the links to the press conferences, sometimes I don't. It's very difficult, obviously, when I'm doing a watch along, which is during a press conference, to obviously be in 2 places at once. So that's sometimes a bit of an issue. But I'll always try and get as many press conferences up as I can. Stormers are usually not an issue. Bulls are often not an issue. Hopefully we'll have more Lions ones coming up as well. I'm trying to get into the Sharks ones. I usually get the Connacht ones. Should be able to get into either the Ospreys and the Dragons ones. We're trying to get into every press conference we can. So it just depends on who's cooperating, who's not. Dan Venice will start playing at 12, definitely. Maybe because it's so dangerous here in SA that no World Cup here. I don't think that's. I mean, they've got the flipping Sevens World Cup next year, so they've got no issue bringing that here. I think we got snaked at the end of the day. We were all set to win the vote, and then a couple of people. Freaking Africa voted against us, those bastards. Sim says yes for success, but things change. That's my point. They want to sell tickets at markup of 15K for front seats. I love my country, but we got to be real. Yeah, but let the foreigners buy the expensive ones, and we'll sit up in the rafters. I don't mind. I'd rather sit up in the rafters than have to pay 80,000 rand to go to flipping get category 4 tickets in Paris. Scott Graham says at Scotstown, I would say the Lions pushed Glasgow Warriors, and I thought the Lions were going to beat us at Scotstown. We just didn't think the Lions were going to turn up, but we were wrong about. Your opinion, are the Northern Hemisphere afraid of us, or is this disrespect? So let's talk about this. So at the moment, obviously the SS sides are overseas, and we're playing this block of games, and then we're getting a break, which is perfect, cool, very, 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 very chuffed with that, very happy with that, not too worried. 4 weeks, I mean, it's a bit like a Super Rugby tour back in the day where we used to go away for 4 weeks, which was always quite tough. And now, in theory, it won't actually have to be like this because we don't have to worry about time zones. We can literally do a flight on a Sunday, come back on a Sunday, because also it's a 10-hour flight. So you can fly on a Sunday, train on Monday, and you're back to normal by Tuesday. So that's not an issue. You know, we can now sort of travel in between any of these nations because there's only one flight, you know, or max 2 flights. So we won't actually see these tours much next year or next season, basically. Now, the plan was then to have end of year tour, and then by end of November, we were supposed to have 2 weeks of home games for the South African sides, where we were going to, I think it was Munster were coming down, Zebra were coming down, Cardiff coming down, and I think Scarlets. I can check. So it was Stormers, it was Zebra, yeah. So Scarlets, Munster, and Cardiff, yeah. So those 4 teams were supposed to come down, and they're going to play 2 games here, and there will be 2 back-to-back home games for the SA sides. Now, Ivan van Rooyen gave us a bit of insight that apparently the plan is to for them to come down, but back to South Africa for a couple of weeks, and then we have to now travel back up to Italy, where we are going to play our home games in Italy. Now, in terms of COVID cases at the moment, in South Africa, the COVID cases right now, as of today or yesterday, the 7-day average for COVID cases in South Africa is currently 841, with 816 COVID cases yesterday. The last time we had over 1,000 cases was in about, when we had a 7-day, our 7-day average has been under 2,000 since October, basically. So COVID cases are coming right down. You can look at the graph. It'll stay down for a while, whatever. Cool. Vaccinations are also on the app, thankfully. Now we look at, so that's South Africa. We look at Italy. Now this is where we have to go and play our home games in Italy because of this. Their current 7-day average is 2,710. So please explain to me why it's not safe for teams to travel down here and come play here, but we can go to Italy, who have got more COVID cases at the moment. And these are the teams, by the way, that are coming here from the UK, who currently have a 7-day average of 35,000 COVID cases. Where is the logic? We've just been taken off the red list. Look, at the moment, that's the plan. I don't know if it'll change, because to be fair, we did only come off the red list on Thursday. So that's what Ivan van Rooyen has said. Right now, as it stands, that is the plan. Surely, if you're SA Rugby, you're now saying we're off the red list. Come here. Come to South Africa. We want to see Munster at Loftus. Even all the Munster fan stuff and the Irish fans were saying that they were looking forward to coming down, not them themselves, although hopefully eventually they can. But we want to see these teams playing in South Africa. We don't want to see Vodacom Bulls versus Munster in flippin' Treviso. We don't want to see that. You know, bring them down here. So I'm really hoping now that we're off the red list, like we should have been for a while, that they'll actually will come travel down here. Because I think it's absolute nonsense. I don't think you can really justify why they're not coming down here. It's not restrictions, because there are no more restrictions in terms of that. It can't be COVID cases because we've got lower COVID cases. So unless you're going to sit there saying we don't believe your cases, in which case up yours, actually, because I'm bored of that whole rhetoric of anything from Africa is a lie and fake and a disaster. Don't come here with the Afro-pessimism. Don't have time for it. So yeah, I think they really would struggle to justify keep sticking to this plan, given the fact that we're off the red list. So very, very frustrating. And hopefully they will change something, and hopefully we will see a change, because I'm not happy with this situation. I just don't think it makes any sense. And I think it's the players that suffer, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about players they were in bio bubbles for the Lions series, a full Currie Cup season, pretty much 2 weeks off, which they had to go into quarantine. Now a 4-week tour, come back for 2 weeks, go back there for 3 more weeks. I mean, it's ridiculous. How can we ask these players to do this? It's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous that this is what we're putting the players through because of and for reasons that you can't really justify. So I really hope that they rethink this plot, and they could well just still rethink it. But at this stage, that is the current plan, and I think the current plan is a stupid plan. Jordan Henderson injury really bad. It's 3 months, so he should be back in January, February, hopefully. Him and Jaden are having ankle injuries. Yeah, look, I mean, very isolated incidents. I don't know what happened with Jordan's, but Jaden's was a bad tackle, which he landed awkwardly. So I don't think there's anything genetic there or anything like that. Jaden's is much worse, though. Leon Jabez said, it also feels like SA Rugby has been targeted after Rusty's video. Maybe I'm biased as SA supporter, but some of these calls have been crazy, from the Bok games to URC, then the RJ ban. It's just been a bit of a strange time, hasn't it? Look, I wasn't happy with generally, I don't think the refereeing was too bad this weekend, but I wasn't happy with that call in the Lions game because it just obviously wasn't a blooming try, wasn't it? I've seen our similar rugby channels. Keep up, Steve. Fair Sports Orphan. Thank you very much. You said episodic quality. I thought you from the UK. Wish we had UK internet. That would be prime. Sean says not any problems, are just teething issues. COVID is the problem. Next season will be fairer. I hope so. Maybe we're gonna have a World Cup here in 2035. I'll be so old by 2035. Like, that's 14 years. Jeez, I'll be flipping old. 14 years. I almost be 40. Can I still be doing this at 40? I don't know. Can I still be sinking beers on the live stream with kids running around? Suppose we'll find out, won't we? Obviously, sometimes I feel like South Africa's portrayed as the bad guys in World Rugby. Some says that 170% of South Africans to be vaxxed, only 22% are. Look, thankfully the vaccine rollout has ramped up a lot in the last month. I mean, we've done, I think it's almost 6% of the population in September, whereas we had done 10% of the population over the last 6 months. So hopefully we'll start getting there. But yeah, we really need to get onto that. So it's not about safety; it's about not getting COVID before European Games, which are the big money spinner. Well, the problem is after that. Yeah, but I mean, even that. But the problem is, if it's about not getting COVID, then you shouldn't be playing with fans in the UK, which have a 35,000 7-day average. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it can really justify it. Ruben says, I think it's more about the empty stadiums because our government, your government, is slow to open stadiums, still super unfair and disrespectful. I think to be honest, I think if they did have games, we would have fans. I think it's the wins for fun of playing a game because they've got a. Is it this Tuesday one? When is it? That they're supposed to be having fans. I don't know if they've actually confirmed it, but they were supposed to be having fans. Well, Salfa came out and said that they were going to try and fans. So I don't know what the final decision was there, but yeah, basically, from as 3 inches of vaccinated football fans. Yeah, so I don't know if it's still going ahead. I actually haven't followed up with that. But in theory, they're supposed to be having fans at the Bafana game in Ethiopia on Tuesday. So if they can do that, why can't we have fans by November? Let us in. Matthew Dick says, as long as we get a financial bonus for this second tour, depending on how COVID goes, I think it's better to play our first games in the new comp at full stadia than empty stadia. Even the Northern Hemisphere commentators will tell you that playing the Cheetahs at home was a different dynamic. It is a completely different dynamic, isn't it? Scott Gerns said, I don't think it's right for SA to having to give up their home games. The teams in the UK have all been vaccinated and want to travel to SA. I would like to see our teams from the URC league to travel. Well, exactly. That's the whole thing, isn't it? Would have been lucky to see them come down and play us at altitude in the middle of summer. Do you think it's economically viable for their teams? I don't see why it's not. I mean, it's not that expensive to come down here. Come now. Plus, I mean, it's not like it's very economically friendly for us with our weak currency to have to go to flip in Italy and chill there for 2 weeks. Kevin says, I'll be 44. Yeah, look, it's a long way away, isn't it? It's just a third world country. They won't get the benefit of the doubt like other first world countries. No, look, I think unfortunately, I think there is a little bit of truth to that. Sorry to all the disrespect from Sands on nothing is going to change up north. Too scared to speak up for ourselves. I think it's time. It's time. We must fight for our rights. So done. Australia got the World Cup in 2027. You're right. When I got home from Scotstown, I put on the match and I would say you were robbed. That's from a Glasgow Warriors supporter. There we go. Yeah, but I mean, the whole blooming. But 2027 is. Hasn't even been decided yet. Isn't it? I don't think they've decided 2027, have they? It's Australia or Russia, I suppose. So. It's hoping to award bids for 2027. Began February 2021. Yeah, it's finals will be available. So it's either going to be Russia or Australia. Why aren't we in there for 2027? I don't understand. I can never understand. We're in there for 2023. We don't get it, so we don't bid again for 2027. It maketh no sense. Russia would be quite a cool place to go to have that. It would be very different and nothing else. Streammark says Chopper Henning is assisting the Bulls with what the Northern Hemisphere referees concentrate on during games. We must learn, adapt, and play the Northern Hemisphere's interpretation rather than the rules as we know it. 100%. It's all about adapting, isn't it? Understanding the laws. And this is what I'm saying. People, it's not just adapting to playing in cold weather. It's adapting to playing in cold weather, in wet conditions, and 4G pitches, to new referees, to new styles of rugby, to everything. It's going to be a huge learning experience throughout the entire competition. So it's not as simple as just saying, oh, well, it's just a bit of weather. It's very, very different on many levels. But I think we're already seeing an improvement, and I think I'm pretty happy with the URC. Moving away from the URC, Rusty's at it again, isn't he? Apparently, Rusty and have asked for complete transparency and have said that they want to make everything available to the public. This is all Rugby 365, which says a World Rugby statement this week clarified following the provision of detailed written submissions and evidence from Mr. Erasmus, SA Rugby and World Rugby. A request was received from SA Rugby and Mr. Erasmus for an oral hearing, which has been granted. As is the norm in such cases, the disciplinary committee will publish a full written decision following the completion of the entire proceedings. Erasmus's lawyer, Frikkie Erasmus, told Afrikaans newspaper report they want the hearing to be made available to the public and not doing so creating needless secrecy. I love that. So basically what they've said is that they want the entire thing to be published. They want it all out there. They want all the evidence that was presented out there. They want everything out there so that when they say this is our decision, they can't come back and say, that there's evidence there and people can't. We don't just have to take it at face value, which is, every case should be like that. If you've got full flipping confidence in your decision, then why can't you publish everything and make everything available? RJ Smith and all that stuff should be public record. It's our money, isn't it? We fund the game. Therefore, transparency is key. Transparency is key. If you're making a decision, stand by it. Show us the steps you took. Show us everything that's there and how you got to that decision. Because then we can understand it. Or if you don't understand it, then why have you got that decision if it's not logical? Stand by your convictions. Stand by your convictions. Sim says, rather have Russia hosted. It's going to take 5 years for us to be hyper competitive to the URC. It's plenty of money. We just built a new stadium down the Eastern Cape. I do love SA, and I do have a lot of SA friends. I did play with lads from SA, and they've said, come down, spend some time, and come to a game. Oh, dude, come down here. We'll take you to the games. We'll have some beers. You can. We'll introduce you to SAB, our lovely little brewery. A lot of craft beer down here these days as well. But yeah, so I'm really keen to. I'm interested to see that Rusty is sort of taking them on head on and saying, whatever you guys do, you're going to publish everything you say. So that if you want to come out and ban me, so you got to be able to show everything and all the reasons why you did, and stand by the fact that if you're willing to ban me, you must show all the evidence. But yeah, we're probably going to call it there. It's just been a long weekend, and I'm pretty exhausted, to be honest. But as usual, I really enjoy joining the Sunday show. So thank you all for jumping on here. Please do smash a like on the video. We've obviously got URC recap coming out tomorrow. We've got 5 things learned, which will hopefully be back this week. We'll have our usual panel show on Thursday, which unfortunately I won't be in because I'm working. But obviously I have Cal and everybody back this weekend, and we'll have all our watch-along schedule and stuff sorted. But if you want to have a good laugh, on my personal channel, the TVP channel, I'll drop a link in the description. A lot of you guys have already subscribed. But we are launching a whole new series this week. We are starting a 5-side team. So if you want to have a laugh at me attempting to run around a football pitch and avoid a heart attack, then go and check it out. It should be a lot of fun. But apart from that, please do keep well. Have a fantastic week, and I'll chat to you guys on Tuesday. We should be live for our news channel as per usual. So I'll see you guys then. But yeah, have a fantastic week. Stay safe. Get vaccinated if you want to get back into stadiums, because that's the plan. I'm ready to go to stadiums. Give me my tickets back to S Park. I used to be a season ticket holder back in the day. Hey, back in the D's. Anyway, keep well. I'll see you guys.